Hello everybody, and welcome to my Oshi no Ko, chapter number 112 review. This chapter is titled, Towards the Future. So, last time in Oshi no Ko, we got an entire chapter focused on Director Gotonda and producer Kaburagi, the two of them coming together to talk about what it takes to make a movie. And that was really what last chapter was. It was about the funds needed and everything needed to make a movie, and it was mostly money. We mostly saw that Kaburagi wants his money, like he really wants his stuff, right? But this time in Oshi no Ko, we get more of a focus on all of the characters, and really mostly on Kana and Ruby. And we actually start off chapter with a single-page color spread, which will be the cover for volume 11, if I'm not mistaken. And it is Kana. And it is kinda all dressed up, I guess in some acting role she may have. She's holding her face with both of her hands on the opposite side of wherever she would be holding her hands generally. I don't really know what that is about, but it's a cool cover of Kana, and we know that this is the cover for volume 11. You'll actually see volume 11 on the screen right now. It should be here on the right side if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, look at that. It's the same color spread pretty much. See that what has happened here is that there's a graduation ceremony going on, and specifically Kana is graduating from high school. Again, this is the big sort of high school that our main character sort of got introduced to, but never really went anywhere but to build up that Ruby knows some people, right? And we see Ruby's actually here, and she's like, "Hey, senpai, congratulations on your graduation." Kana's like, "Ruby, what are you doing here?" As Ruby's just like, "With this, you've officially graduated from high school, huh? You always told me to go to college too, but in the end, you didn't take any university exams." And Kana's like, "My life decision. I don't need academic records in my life. After all, I'm ready to be an actress whenever in the entertainment world forever." Kana continues to say, "The summer live concert will also be my last activity as an idol. I'll devote myself to acting while taking B. Komachi's activities as my source of encouragement." As we see Ruby here and we see her starring gone in her eye, and she's just like, "I understand. We need to see graduates off a smile after all." As we then cut over to Director Gotonda and producer Kaburagi, as the two of them are sitting and talking, right? And Kaburagi starts, and he's just like, "Regarding the role of I, it looks like we're going to have to go with Frill Shirani." And the director is just like, "I thought we were going to go with Akane Kurokawa." And he's like, "That was just the assumption, but things rarely go as planned, you know? They said they could keep her schedule open if Frill-chan got a supporting role, but it seems that the deal from her other work just fell off. So Frill-chan may be a good option here." As the director is also like, "The leading role will be played by Phil Shirani. Well, it's not impossible. The main cast is the focus of the movie after all. When it comes to box office revenue, you want to pick somebody with name recognition. Originally, I was planning to ask Yura Kitose as well, but nobody can get in contact with her for some reason." And this is big, because actually a few chapters ago, we did see Kaburagi actually interact with Yura's moderator people, right? Her contacts. And we also know that at this point, Yura is dead. She was killed by Hikaru, who, Hikaru apparently made her trip and die in the mountains, right? So we obviously know that she is dead and not coming back. And this is a very big implication because at this point, we don't know how much time has passed since her death. And we know that if nobody can get in touch with her, if it's been a few weeks, that could actually be really big for how the story is going to go, right? When with how Hikaru actually killed her, being that Hikaru is Ruby and Aqua's dad here. So we also see that Kaburagi is like, "We need to make our decision soon, and the investors are hoping for Frill Shirani too, so we should probably go with her this time." And at this point, we cut to outside somewhere where Ruby is just going meow, purr, purr, meow, just making a bunch of cat noises as for some reason we see a lot of dog paws. I don't know what's up with that in the background, but we pretty much see that Ruby is trying to mess with Cat, and we see the director come up behind her, and the director's just like, can you speak cat language? And Ruby's just like, whoa, who are you? What are you doing here? And he's just like, Taishi Gantanda, have you forgotten? Ruby's just like, oh, director, long time no see. And Gotonda here is just like, the last time I saw you was on your 15th birthday, huh? And he's like, oh, when you gave us Mama's video letter, right? How nostalgic. As we see that Gotonda is just like, I haven't seen her in a long time, but genetics are cruel, huh? As he's like, think that she'd grow up to be this beautiful. As we sort of get a panel of her very reminiscent of I, and of course, we'll see another one here in a second. But Gotonda's just like, what are you doing in a place like this? She's like, there's someone I don't want to see in the office. And he's like, are you talking about Aqua? And she's like, well, he's just like, are you guys still? And she's like, still? How dare he reveal Mama's secrets like that? I could never forgive him. And Gotonda's just like, you haven't heard about the DVD from Aqua? And she's just like, DVD? And he's just like, never mind. And he's like, and he starts to think, he's like, is he going to shoulder everything by himself? Is Aqua that much of a sister complex boy? He knows there's a limit to being overprotective, right? And at this point, Gotonda's just like, well, Aqua didn't do it with bad intentions. And she's just like, that's okay, I don't care. Why would Aqua do such a thing? I'm not interested in that anymore. In the end, you just can't trust anyone, because everyone is a big, fat liar. As we really see Ruby take on the motif of I, as we saw earlier in the series, and if anything, a few chapters ago was actually the chapter, I think 110 if I'm not mistaken, where Taishi, Gotonda, and I were actually talking a lot. And we see that Ruby has really taken on the appearance of I here. And Gotonda's just like, I'm sorry, as he starts to walk away, and he just thinks, come to think of it, didn't I give birth to children around this age? What triggered me to get going with this movie were those 2 DVDs. As we see 2 DVDs in a package, and we see that one of them is for Aqua, don't open until you turn 15, and the other one is for Ruby, and it's like, don't open until you turn 15, alright? So, we see both of these, and we see whenever I gave them to Gotonda, and she's just like, director, hold on to these, please. And he's just like, what are they? And she's like, video letters for the future. I want you to give them to Aqua and Ruby whenever they turn 15. And director's just like, you started doing strange things again, huh? And he's just like, give them to him yourself, will ya? As she's just like, don't be ridiculous. If I kept them, I'd definitely lose them. And he's like, well, I can't argue with that. And she says, for your information, you can't see what's inside. And he's like, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. You sealed them really tightly. And he's just like, well, I'll give them these if I remember. And we see the Ruby's just like, do it without fail, okay? As we see sort of just her in her ball cap, just with her starry gons in her eyes, just looking at Gotonda. And we see Gotonda just sitting here thinking about it. Of course, this is much later. He's just like, I should have thought about it more. Why should I give them to Aqua and Ruby when they are 15? Why did she ask me to hold on to them? Why did she split the DVD in 2? Why did I entrust those DVDs to me just before she died? When I found the answer, I made up my mind to start this project. And we sort of cut back to where Aqua and Gotonda are talking, and Aqua's just like, so, who will be playing I? And the director's just like, the expected cast was Akane Kurakawa, right? And he's just like, I didn't want to have to do anything more for Akane, but there's nothing I can do about it. And we see that Gotonda is sitting here thinking, and eventually he says, well, the producer wants Phil Shirani to play the role. And Aqua's like, alright, I can see why she's famous. But the director then says, but I'm thinking of nominating Ruby Hoshino for the role of I. And that is where we end off the chapter this week. This is massive for the series as a whole. I mean, it is a massive chapter. First off, we get stuff of Kana graduating, which is very interesting and very fine. We then have the talk about who will be playing Ai, how it may not work out for Connie, and how Frill Churani should really be the one to play the role. And we also get some more insight into, nobody's heard of Yura Kitose. And we know Hikaru has killed her, right? And we then get the stuff with Ruby and the reveal at the end that Gontondo wants Ruby to play Ai in the movie. We have a few things here that are very interesting. What is in these DVDs? I don't think that we've heard about these DVDs. I could be mistaken, unless I missed something. We actually don't know as an audience what are in these DVDs, but I could be wrong. If you know anything about that, just throw it into comments or something, because I definitely could be wrong. But to get this idea that Gontondo wants Ai, we know who the culprit is going to be. That is going to be Aqua. So does that mean that in this movie, Aqua is going to have to stab in quotation marks, Ruby? And how will this all lead out, right? It's just a very interesting work from the background and looking into it of, alright, Ruby may be playing Ai. It's really a cruel twist of fate also, just seeing how Ruby looks so much like Ai in some of these shots. And we also get a lot more establishing to the relationship between the director and Ai in the past. And we really want to know what's on these DVDs as an audience, because that is what made the director want to make the movie, The 15-Year Lie, and these DVDs are supposed to go out to the kids when they're 15. It's just really big, and next week's chapter is going to be a banger for sure, but like most Oshinoko chapters. So yeah, that's going to be it. If you enjoyed this chapter, please drop a like and do all that fun stuff. If you're liking the Oshinoko content, subscribe, and yeah, that's going to be it. Again, this was Oshinoko chapter 112, and I'll see you next time. This will be Glowplasma231 out.